What if life's greatest challenges became the catalyst for your most authentic and joyful living? Hi, I am Katie Ripp, your host of Actually I Can. And today I'm thrilled to have my dear friend Lynn with us. While Lynn is navigating life with metastatic breast cancer, her story is all about living unapologetically and finding the joy in every moment. We will talk about everything from the shock of her diagnosis, but also how it's reshaped her values and views on life, legacy, and body image. It is a heartfelt and hopefully inspiring conversation. Lynn is one of those people I hold very dear and just a great human all around. So let's dive in. Hey there, fellow rebels. Welcome to Actually I Can, the podcast where we say a hearty hell yes to designing life on our own terms. I'm Katie Ripp, a lifestyle coach, business mentor, and serial entrepreneur, here to guide you through the wild ride of defying what society expects of us and embracing our authenticity. On this show, we dive deep into taboo topics like death, money, spirituality, entrepreneurship, unapologetic self-care, and personal development, all while swearing and laughing along the way. Expect down and dirty conversations, plenty of humor, and a whole lot of exploration, leaving you feeling empowered to be your truest self. Whether you're craving a good laugh, seeking unconventional self-care tips, or simply looking for some camaraderie, you've come to the right place. We only get this one short life, so buckle up and let's design yours on our own terms. Ready to dive in? Let's go. Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Lynn, I'm just going to ask you, why are you here?
Long story. I had breast cancer 12 years ago. I had a mastectomy. I had lymph nodes removed. Never thought about it again.
How old were you then?
Well, I'm about to be 80, so 12 years ago.
68, though.
Okay, 68. But I really thought I was done. It never occurred to me that this was ever going to happen again. I was cured. In December, I went to the doctor because I thought I had a cracked rib. Knowing fully well they couldn't do anything about a cracked rib, but my husband nagged me to go, so I went. And she said I did have a cracked rib, but it wasn't for the reason I thought. They had found that I had metastatic breast cancer on my bones, meaning there is no cure. I will live with this. I may die of cancer. I may die of something else with cancer. We have to find a way to keep this from spreading to organs. It's on my bones. The cracked rib was because these little buggers eat at your bones.
So not an incident?
No.
Okay.
I have lesions from the top of my scalp to my pubic bone, front and back. There's hundreds of them. That's cancer. As long as they don't go into an organ, I'm doing fine.
Okay.
What I first heard from this young woman was it's metastatic, meaning there's no cure. So I was sitting there and I was stunned. I am, number one of the healthiest people I know.
Mm-hmm.
I am active. I may be almost 80, but I can put my palms flat on the floor and I play pickleball several times a week. I'm very active. My whole self-identity is wrapped up in I'm the healthiest grandma around.
Mm-hmm. And you guys can't see Lynn sitting here, but she is literally sitting crisscross applesauce in a chair.
Yes.
Like completely comfortable.
Completely.
I'm telling my 12-year-old daughter right now, please never stop sitting Indian style.
Yes.
Because someday you won't be able to.
Yeah.
Like I cannot. It's actually one of my goals in life.
And I have 2 fake hips.
I mean, you are almost 80. Let's be real.
I'm 80 in a few weeks. I don't feel it. I don't act it. I don't think about my age in those terms. I think about myself as being young and healthy. So when they tell you you have a chronic cancer, you think about dying.
Yeah.
I really never thought about dying my whole life. The one thing, we live in the most divided society known to mankind. People hate people for the dumbest reasons. People fight for the dumbest reasons. Everybody's different. Everybody's entitled to be who they want to be. We're not there as a society, but guess what? Everybody has something in common. You get born and you die.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gets away without dying.
Yeah.
So why did I wait till I got a diagnosis at age 79 to think about the fact that there's so many things. When I had lunch with you, Katie, and you said to me, what do you want your legacy to be? That was like when they told me I had cancer and it hit me in the head. It's like, whoa, why didn't I think about that earlier? Why didn't I think about that when I was raising kids or working or whatever? Because I was raising kids and was
working and whatever.
I was doing whatever. But we need to you take 5 minutes to meditate, you take 5 minutes to exercise. I don't care what you do. We need to take some time to think about the fact that we're going to leave this world at some point. No one knows when or how. But what do you want people to think about when they think about that you're not there anymore?
Yeah.
There's all these euphemisms too. When I die, I'm going to die. I'm going to be dead.
Uh-huh.
Nobody will have lost me. You lose your keys. I have a 21-year-old granddaughter that I was in the car with last week or 2 weeks ago. And I insist on talking about my dying with my grandchildren they're teenage and up and age appropriately. But, I'm going to die, so are they. But it is my privilege to die before them. That's the order. I'm the grandma.
Uh-huh.
As much as she doesn't like talking about it, I am the grandma. So let's talk about it. And she was listening, and she was crying, and she was listening, and she's trying to drive the car, and she was swearing because I made her teary while she's trying to drive. But she came away with, your body is going to go away. I'm never getting rid of you. You're in me.
Yeah. I mean, figuratively and literally.
Yes. You've talked to me. You've been with me. And your smell, when I open the closet and I smell your sweaters, all of that stuff goes with you. So yes, your body dies. I'm going to turn into mulch. I'm having a natural burial. I'm coming back as a tree.
Yeah. I love that.
But the rest of me, hopefully, is in the people that I love and adore, and also the people that I meet. I have my support group on the pickleball court. I have my support group at Gilda's. I have people from Harbor when I used to go there. There are people all over, and I want them. So, okay, what is your job as a human being? Knowing that it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
Your first job is, what do I want to do to make this world a better place? And I made mistakes like there's no tomorrow. My earlier adult years were a mess. I was a mess. Why did it take getting a horrible diagnosis to wake me up? Why couldn't I wake up sooner and face what's my obligation to people?
Do you have an answer for that? Do you have an answer for why you waited?
I was busy being selfish, thinking about myself, having my own good time, raising my kids, but I was busy doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all live in this world where everything's very fast.
Yeah.
And it's getting faster now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it gets faster as we get older, too.
It gets faster as we get older, but it's also all this technology.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was growing up, you didn't order something and it didn't show up at your door the next day. You actually had to go and get it.
Yeah.
Everything's very fast. We need to slow down as a society.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take pressure off of ourselves, our children, everybody, to be better than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Just be the best you.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have different skills, but we all have skills. I spent a lot of my life working with people with developmental disabilities who taught me an awful lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody has something to teach. Everybody has a skill. We just need to learn how to slow down. I don't know how to make people slow down. Maybe there's one person out there this will click with.
Mm-hmm.
It's one more person.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be 10,000.
No.
It needs to be one.
Yeah. And to slow down means it's a gradual change. I think part of it for me, too, was one of the hardest things in the world is to redefine your own, who you are, your own identity. And when I first was diagnosed, I didn't feel good. I slept a lot, which threw me for a loop because I am an A personality. You don't nap. I was napping. I was sitting in a chair, and the next thing I knew, 2 hours had passed.
Yeah.
And then I had to get up and say, oh my God. And I realized, okay, what didn't I do in those 2 hours? Not much. But it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Tell me about, I think there's probably a lot of questions out here, and we're just going to get down and dirty.
Good.
I mean, I love that you are willing to answer these questions, because I think that we live in a society right now, and I would imagine most of the people listening here are going to be middle-aged women, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not expecting like my son and his friends to listen.
Correct. Unless I maybe played the guitar or did something.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it also, like, we end up peeling back some layers as middle-aged women, right? Like, we're looking at our kids who are teens and tweens and graduating high school, moving on to college, moving out of the house, and all of a sudden a couple of purposes go away. You've been around for 80 years. That's a lot of years. Did you find middle life, that 40-ish, maybe 30 to 50-ish, learning anything that you take now as a life lesson?
For me, in those years, I had been married very young. Mm-hmm. I had been divorced very young. I had 14 years, and then I remarried. I was in my middle 40s when I remarried.
Okay.
Up until that point, I probably wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes with anybody, because I was very busy racing around, doing fun things, mm-hmm. having this really selfish, insecure, childlike in a grown-up body.
Mm-hmm. Would you call that like a maturity level?
My maturity level was in the tubes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was,
Looking back on that now, do you think that was like a coping mechanism, trauma response?
I was totally trying to figure out how to be a full human being, but didn't know how. And, we could go back to, my childhood, but really needing to be loved, but not knowing how to get it.
Yeah.
And going about it in really hazardous ways.
Right. Filling a bunch of voids without knowing how to fill the void.
In very hazardous, immature ways.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I got to be in my middle 40s, and I reconnected with somebody I'd grown up with and who had been my best friend in high school. But a little insight into me, I didn't like him romantically because he was a nice guy.
Mm.
Wasn't interested.
It didn't have checked the boxes.
I would have preferred he'd been in prison.
Yeah, right. Could we please be less nice?
Right.
And more destructive?
Yes.
And then I will love you romantically.
That's right. Because then my crazy behavior wouldn't be so terrible.
Yeah.
Because yours would be worse.
Yeah. Okay. Keeping up with the Joneses in the opposite.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I was never going to be tall and blonde. Never. I'm 4'11", and I have black and gray hair. But I was never going to be the tall blonde, so I was going to do something else.
Yeah, we're going to fill that in a different way.
Right. So, and then I moved from Chicago, where I had spent my entire life, to Madison, Wisconsin, which is a very big change on so many levels. Mm-hmm. And it was so the best thing. My life immediately, because of the difference in the two cities, slowed down. As much as I tried to make Madison faster, I finally got comfortable enough with the slowing down. I wasn't aware of it because I was working. I had step kids. I had a new husband. I wasn't paying attention. And it really wasn't, and I don't know why, and I beg everybody not to wait till somebody says, you have a disease that, is going to kill you, or your lifespan's been shortened. Don't wait for that. But I don't know how to get people to that point. I didn't know how to get myself there.
Yeah.
I can't tell anybody else how to do it. For Mother's Day this year, my 3 children, my oldest child gave me 5 pints of ice cream. My middle child gave me a gift certificate to Portillo's for sausage dogs and french fries. My youngest child gave me a subscription to a site where I can meditate. Those are my 3 children.
I mean, I love that.
Okay. The first time I tried this meditation thing, I discovered you really shouldn't do it while you're drinking your coffee. That you really need to.
I mean, coffee is my meditation, but just...
I'm sitting there drinking. And then I was kind of doing leg lifts while I was relaxing.
Right, because we can't sit still.
I'm up to 2 minutes now.
I mean, that's huge.
2 minutes.
Huge.
2 minutes.
It's kind of all you need, though.
Yeah, well, that's probably not going to get past 3. But nonetheless, learning to slow down is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm just learning now, partially because my body doesn't have the energy it had before. So I'm having to redefine okay and find ways to accept this is okay.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. Learning to accept this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one.
I have a friend who has survived breast cancer in her 40s. And I asked her what she wanted me to ask you.
Oh, yes.
And she said she gets a lot of questions about how long it took her to accept that she might die. And I asked her, I said, when you got the cancer diagnosis, like immediately, did you think you were going to die? And she was like 150,000%. Immediately. It didn't matter what level it was. It didn't matter what kind of cancer. I heard cancer and that equaled death. And I was going to leave my kids and I was going to leave my house and I was going to leave this earth. I thought I was going to die. And so she asked, I wonder if you could ask her how long it took for her to accept that she was going to die from this.
I get asked that a lot in the support group I do at Gilda's because I'm a 2-time cancer person. And it was like the first time I was really naive. And I mean, I had, a bag hanging off of me, a draining bag after the mastectomy. And I went to the gym because I was fine. I was fine. They took it away. I was fine. And I stubbornly refused to accept the possibility it could come back. So the first time around, I didn't think I was going to die. I think I hid that from myself is what I did. I covered it up really well.
A denial?
Oh, such denial. And I'm good at that. I'm really good at that. And the second,
I think to a certain extent, we're all really good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, society has taught us to
yes.
We'll just put that underneath here.
Yeah. We'll set it aside.
And then we might revisit it or we might never.
Might not.
We're just going to put that under the bed.
It went away. I ignored it as best I could. I mean, obviously, there are things you can't ignore. I'm a uniboob. I did not opt for fillers or implants. I didn't opt for a padded bra because I also had this thing about my grandchildren were teenagers. Well, one was teenage and the other were preteen. But my personality didn't change because my breasts changed. And that was important to me to get that message across. But yeah, my t-shirts look a little funny, but so what? I'm still me.
Yeah.
Okay, the second time around, death was a big, important part of it. It still is. And I go to support group every week, and there are people in my group that are actively dying. I am not, but at some point I will be.
Well, we are.
But so will you. I mean, so will everybody.
Yeah.
I just think about it probably more now because I have the big C word on my brain. I was diagnosed in December. It probably took until 6 weeks ago, maybe, for cancer not to be the first thought in the front of my head.
Oh, interesting.
People would say to me, how are you? And I'd say, I'm fine, I have cancer. They didn't care, some of them. I mean, how are you? All they want is I'm fine and move on.
For sure.
And I ask people, how are you? I don't want the truth. Okay, good, great.
Yes.
It's like, shake hands.
I love that people are using I'm busy as a badge of honor.
Yes.
Right? Like busy, but good.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Are we there? We're like, the more busy you are, the better.
Yeah.
And if you don't say I'm busy,
then you're
lazy.
A failure.
You're a failure and you're lazy. But anyway.
Which is also why because people are there, we don't stop and think it's okay not to be busy.
Yeah.
It's okay to think about, okay, I have children. I have grandchildren. I'm going to be dead at some point. I want to leave them with something that's going to make it easier for them. I want them to laugh. I don't want to die in a hospital with machines.
Yeah.
if I'm in a car accident, that could happen.
For sure.
But if I had my choice, I'm having a party, and maybe I won't know so much that there's a party going on, but there's going to be a party, and people are going to cry, and they're going to laugh.
Yeah.
And they're going to sing disco and the Bee Gees. And Staying Alive is one of my favorite songs. Well, even if I'm not there, somebody is. So enjoy.
Well, we all are staying alive until we are not.
Right. I mean, but that's something you need to think about before you're laying in the bed and you've got, 10 minutes left.
Yeah. Tell me about your plans. Like, do you have plans? I know you said, yeah. So tell me all about your plans.
I have been talking about dying for a long time, actually, with my oldest granddaughter. She has the playlist for my funeral on her phone, which she's 25. She's had it for at least 10 years. So I guess I did think about it way back, but it was almost like a funny thing then.
Oh yeah, like a distant thing. My mom and I have this like ongoing joke whenever we take pictures. She was like, "Oh, that's a good funeral picture."
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Sort of it is going to happen. Right. However, we're going to laugh about it. We're just going to creep it out from underneath the bed.
I mean, it's like, okay, you want those shoes when I'm dead? They're yours.
Yeah. My mom started like giving her crystal away to us, exactly. Right, and that kind of thing, and. Of course, we have this like ongoing joke that we're like every time we go to our house, we put our name with a post-it on stuff, right? Like, exactly. I mean, in the abstract, it is funny.
It is funny, and you know what? It can be funny when it actually happens, as well as sad.
Yeah,
and hopefully it is sad. I mean, wouldn't it be really awful if nobody cried when you left, when you died?
Yeah, I don't want that either.
No, you better damn well cry your eyes out. Yeah, hello.
For sure. I want you to ugly cry when I die.
Miserable. But then I want you
to only laugh. For like 2 minutes.
Exactly. And then I want you to laugh and remember that I said lovingly, I want you to be miserable. And then you'll laugh.
Yeah, for sure. And remember when she said she wanted us to be miserable? Let's do it for 2 minutes and be done.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, yeah. And so, okay. So back to when did I really, it took me this time in my first round of trying to figure out meds that work for me, that'll keep the cancer at bay, that I can also tolerate. Because it's very important to me not to just take medicine, but to be able to live my life.
And when you say medicine, is that chemo?
It's chemo.
Yeah, okay.
And chemo's rough stuff. There's no question about it.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be debilitating.
Yeah.
And I deserve to live my life while taking these chemo pills. And happily, my oncologist walks on water and totally agrees with me. The quality of life is vitally important.
Thank God.
But it took a while because of my size and my weight to get to the right level. So the beginning, probably 2 months, were really tough. Because physically, I was a mess.
Yeah, sick.
I was sick. Right now, I'm perfectly healthy. I mean, you
look amazing.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly healthy.
Yeah, you look great.
I feel wonderful. I'm not having emergency, horrible fatigue.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have fluid on my lungs anymore. I don't have a rash anymore. I'm not having diarrhea, I mean, all this stuff that happens. I'm on a level and I'm doing fine. The hardest part of this is that every few months I have to have a scan. So there's a little bit of anxiety about what are they going to find. So every couple of months I am keenly aware that my life could get cut short quickly. And I see this at Gilda's too. There are people who are fine, and then it spread. Cancer is a tricky beast. And one little cell that nobody knew was alive and well. I mean, I had 12 years in between.
Yeah.
That little bugger was hiding out.
I mean, in theory, you could have another 12 years?
In theory. I mean, I said to the doctor when I was first diagnosed, and she said to me, we're going to reassess in 5 years. And I said, probably 85. That sounds good to me. I said, I really want to be at least 90. And she said, you could. But then every 3 months, I have a scan. So every 3 months, I'm reminded, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish that on anybody, but I kind of do.
Yeah.
I kind of want you to have a timer in your kitchen or something that just every once in a while reminds you, stop. Think about what kind of a human being you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do for your family, for your friends? Maybe you don't want to do anything. Then decide that. And you don't have to get really deep and heavy, but you have to stop and you have to think about what's important.
Mm-hmm.
And you go from there, because nobody ever gets out of here without dying.
Yeah, nobody gets out of this alive.
No.
That's what I like to say.
No. Yeah.
Death has been, we lost my father-in-law quite a few years ago. Now, it's going to be 7 years next week, actually, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
Time goes so fast.
Yes.
And it changed our lives, right? He was 59 years old, and he died completely unexpectedly. We had no idea.
Yeah.
We think in some spiritual way he must have known, because the things he did and he could have never known, right? Like, this was as routine as open heart surgery can be. It was routine open heart surgery. And the way he died was a complete fluke, right? Like, he had a blood clot and died. But he must have had some kind of inkling, because he prepared everything, right? Like, they got a grave spot. He had lined up all of the usernames, passwords, phone codes, everything, life insurance, everything was done. Everything was done. But he was 59, right? Like, such a young age at this time in our lives, right? Like, 59 used to be a crazy, old, right?
He wasn't 59 even on Medicare yet.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
For real, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was kind of starting a new career too, which was interesting in and of itself. But, it fucked up our lives for a while, right? Because everybody was just, like, not prepared for it. And I think the cliche is, well, you can never prepare for something like that. That's actually not true, right? Like, I am a perfectly healthy 46-year-old. I could also die from a blood clot tomorrow. I can prepare for that. I can prepare my kids. I can put my quote unquote affairs in order.
Yep.
I can get usernames and passwords ready.
Yep.
I can get life insurance taken care of. You can do a lot of things.
Yep.
When he died, I realized what a gift he gave my mother-in-law by having everything prepared.
Yes.
Because she was not in a state, as anybody is in that situation. She was not in a state. Well, and they give you so much to do after that, right? Like, the 42 death certificates you have to have, and who do you need to call for this? Who do you need to call at the funeral home? It's so many decisions. Even though he was prepared, there were so many decisions in the first 72 hours she had to make, that the fact that he took most of those decisions away and did it ahead of time was such a gift. And it made me really open up my eyes to, like, wow, we could prepare. And so I reached out to my parents and said, listen, I need to know what you want us to do. And they're like, oh, our trust is all set up. And I was like, no. I get those affairs. Oh, like in my dad's case, I said, what do you want us to do with your taxidermy?
Oh,
that sounds crazy, but he has hunted and fished all his life. It's his greatest joy over his children. It's his greatest joy. We used to have a sign in our house that said, we interrupt this marriage to bring you to hunting season. Right. If we only knew how true that was at the time.
Right.
Because it did.
It would.
But in any case, I said to him, what would you like us to do with your taxidermy? Right? Like, it's super important to you. What would you like us to do with it? Like, we can't, like, put it on a pyre, right? Like, I'm not really interested in burning, like, your lifelong hobby joy, right? And he was like, well, I don't really care. Donate. And I was like, but you do, right? And, like, we want to honor you in that way. My father-in-law had a very, very traditional Catholic burial, 5-hour wake with people in line, open casket, all of the things, very beautiful Catholic ceremony. We walked the casket up to the burial, like the cemetery. We buried him, and then the church lunch afterwards. Like, we did all of those things. My parents I was like, do you want that? They both were raised Catholic. Do you want that? And they're like, well, I don't really know what we want. Well, and they're divorced. And my mother's remarried. So I'm like, hey,
you need to
listen,
figure that one out.
Listen, lady.
You need to figure that one out.
Yes. Please let us know what you want us to do. And when I approached the subject, it was ignored for months, right? And my sister and brother, I don't think had an opinion at the time. They were like, yeah, that's fine. If this makes you feel better, just do it, right? And I didn't really ask for permission. I did it anyway.
Why does that not surprise you?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we are who we are, Lynn. Yeah. But since then, I've realized again how much losing somebody changes you if you're not prepared for the grief. If you don't have some sort of practice in place for meditation, for your mental health, if you're not already seeing a counselor or a therapist, then to do that after grief is rough. And those are things that we can do to prepare. Yes. And we're also in a situation, I am in a situation where my parents are in the 75 years old range. We're either going to have to take care of them or say goodbye to them sooner rather than later, right? Like if we're lucky, we have 30 more years,
right?
20 more years. They'll be 95.
Yeah.
That's not that much time left.
That's right.
And thinking about it and talking about it is just not the norm.
Yeah.
And so when you bring it up, it gets,
it gets people very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just a discomfort level that people are not willing to talk about. Mm-hmm. And just talking about it prepares you.
Yes.
Right? Like just having the conversation, like we are all going to die. To your point before about like, this is the order. Yeah. When you said that to me at lunch, I was like, God, what a gift you gave your granddaughter to tell her that this is the order and this is how things should go. Rather than her, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how your granddaughter felt about that, but I find it to be such a gift.
It's my wish.
Right.
It's my wish that I get, as I said, it's my privilege to die first.
Yeah.
And when I went and I selected a natural burial, which at first people went, ew, gross.
Yeah, tell me about that. What is it?
I went to, now it's just terrible because I can't remember where it is.
It's okay. You don't need to know. We'll take you there.
Yeah. And frankly, I also said, do not take me there in a hearse. I do not want to stop traffic. I don't want a lot of black cars. I don't want flags. I don't want to go through red lights. I'm going to be buried in a shroud, which is something that's biodegradable. Mm-hmm. A sheet of linen something. I don't take up a lot of space. Throw me in the back of the car.
Oh my gosh, Lynn.
Drive me. Get me there.
Are you serious?
No, I swear.
Has your family agreed to this?
Well, they have a little bit of a problem with it. And I made Tom swear. Well, we've talked about this repeatedly. Repeatedly, we have discussed this. I think Jennifer, my oldest child, who lives here in town, she understands. She also went with me. The second time I went, I took Jennifer, Tom, my husband, the dog, and myself went. The dog picked the site.
Oh, nice.
Pearl picked the site.
Did she pee on it or just sniffed it out?
Sniffed it out.
Oh, yeah.
And it was by a lovely tree. And I paid for it right then and there.
Okay, where is this place?
This is that sanctuary whose name I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, but here in Madison.
In one of the suburbs.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And I decided then and there, I want this, and they're going to dig a hole in the ground and they're going to put me in.
So we're going to pull you out of the trunk.
I'm not going to be in a box.
Okay.
I'm going to be in my shroud.
So I'm curious about how you get there. Like, is Tom going to carry you?
Oh, well, once the car gets there.
She's like going to dump you.
Put you like in a golf cart. I don't know. I don't know how they do
like
it.
Like a weekend at Bernie's.
Right. They figure it out over there. I mean, they got that all down pat. They do that.
I do. I love the details of this.
After a year, they're going to put a stone in the ground with my name on it. And I said, do not do the beloved
wife,
mother, grandmother, dog owner. Just, my name and my birthday and my death day is fine. That's fine. Doesn't need to be a whole long thing.
What made you decide to do that?
My parents, generations of my family, are buried outside Chicago in Skokie, Illinois. And when you pull up to our section, there's this ginormous piece of, I don't know, marble stone, something, huge thing, like the size of the table out there. Perched there says Rosenberg. And there's generations of us. And for years, every time we'd go to somebody's funeral, I would say to my children, don't stand there, you're standing on me. So maybe I did have the death humor a long time ago.
Yeah.
But over the years, how many times have I gone there? Not enough, according to somebody. I don't need to go to a spot. I mean, my grandma who's there, there are certain trees I walk by and it's like, hi, Grandma, because it smells like her.
Yeah.
My grandmother died when I was pregnant with Jennifer. Jennifer's 57 years old. My grandma, I can tell you things she said to me. I remember bubble baths with her. She had a porcelain chicken. And when you took the top off, there was candy and it was just for the grandchildren. I have always had in my house, not a porcelain chicken, a beautiful basket, but it has candy in it. It has garbage candy in it. I finally gave up the Swedish fish because the red dye was, maybe not so good.
But the rest of it is fine.
We have a few other things in there now. Now we have healthy gummy worms and Tootsie Rolls, whatever, good stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't need to go to Skokie, Illinois and find, no, she's with me. And that's what you want for people.
Yeah.
And my oncologist said to me a couple of weeks ago, I want your family to come in and meet with me. And she said, because it has been proven that families that have the opportunity to meet the doctor have a better relationship with a terrible diagnosis. And I don't care what it is. There's a lot of horrible diseases out there.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Families have a better chance of success. So at my June appointment, my daughter will not be teaching anymore. And her two girls are going with me to meet the doctor. The 21-year-old granddaughter came to Gilda's last week. She just came for the dinner. You have dinner first.
Yes.
And then you go have your session. She didn't go for a session. She said she doesn't think she's ready for that yet. But she came and had dinner with us. And she met real-life people that have real-life cancer. All different kinds. All different ages. I'm the oldest in the group.
Yeah. You've become the matriarch,
But
I'm guessing.
I am kind of the matriarch. But they're men, women, all different kinds of cancer, all different stages of it.
Ages?
We're all real people. Ages vary from probably late 30s to me.
Yeah.
And real relationships are formed.
Yeah?
Real relationships. Tom and I are going next week. A couple, Tom met the woman in the support givers group.
Oh, yeah.
And they became really good friends. She's a school teacher. I mean, he could be her father,
Yeah.
And they have children. And the husband is one with cancer. He's in my group. Next Sunday, week for Sunday, they're renewing their vows. I think I'm probably going to live a lot longer than him.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
That's hard.
It's heartbreaking.
It's hard. I mean, death is
real.
Yeah, death is
real.
Death is death, right? Like it doesn't matter what age you are, because we are all going. But it's always it twists the knife a little bit harder when it's young.
But what they're doing, because their kids go, the thing about Gilda's is I go for the active cancer people. My husband goes to the people who live with us and care for us. And the children, they have a room for little kids. They have a room for middle schoolers. They have a room for high schoolers. They all have their own therapists lead them in groups. I've never been because I'm not a kid, so that's theirs. But what these parents are giving their kids a gift, because these kids are going to Gilda's Club. They know what it's about.
Yeah.
And it's being addressed at whatever age they are, whatever level these kids are at.
Yeah.
And they know.
Our kids were, I got to think about this, 5 and 8. Is that right? Yeah. They were 5 and 8 when Al died.
Yeah.
And we came home, Al went to the hospital with the full intention that he was coming home. We had a rough 3 days. It was 3 days of,
I bet. Wow.
Yeah. It was just, he didn't die right away. It was a pretty long process. It was like 3 days. My mom came down and helped with the kids, and they were young enough that we needed childcare and we had to leave in the middle of the night and, that kind of thing. And we came home from the hospital after. And that's a very surreal situation too, to have somebody die in a hospital and then like nobody knows what to do afterwards, right? Like there's not really a playbook for this. I think there should be, right? Like, here, read this before you go to the hospital. And nobody really wants to talk about that either. There's also something about like not mentioning it because you think it's going to jinx it in some way, right? Like if you say, I'm worried you're going to die, it means that they're going to die. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I get it. And whenever anybody says it, it's like, well, we're only talking about hope. We're only talking about positive things. I find it to be a little bit of a disservice to everybody involved because if and when it happens, I am an optimist to the core. I happen to be a little bit of a realist as well. But when we came home, we had to tell the kids that Al died. And I was very intentional about it. I did not sugarcoat it. I didn't say he took a nap and never woke up.
Yeah.
I didn't say, he's in heaven. I didn't say anything except that Grandpa Al died and he is not coming back. That's it. We didn't have a real long conversation about it. They asked a couple of questions. They were so little. My son definitely knew, right? He was 8. My daughter had a little bit of she didn't really get it, but she saw that Miles was very upset, so she was upset.
Right.
And then, we went over to some friend's house a couple days later. And she just walked in the house and she was like, somebody asked how she was, we were still, it was very fresh. So somebody asked, oh, hey, Madeline, how are you? And she was like, fine, my grandpa died. And then walked in. And everything I read about it was like, that's exactly how a 5-year-old should react. Yes. And of course, everybody was like, oh my God, right? Like,
no, yeah.
Like, and I was like, that's how we talk about it.
Perfect.
That's perfect. Age appropriate. That's, it's not that she didn't care. It's like, that is just how their little brains work, right? But then the whole grief thing is a whole nother story about, how people grieve, when they grieve, how long they should grieve, that whole thing. I'd love to ask you about any regrets in life.
Oh.
And I would also love to ask you about what you're hoping to leave.
Okay. Before we get there, I just want to say, for me, having the reality in my face that I'm going to be dead someday has been a gift. It has made me slow down. I really do smell the flowers. I really do enjoy walking on these paths where I'm all by myself. I don't know what I'm thinking about. I'm looking at twigs on the ground. And I'm calm and I feel good. And I never did those kinds of things before. I have a bazillion regrets. A bazillion. The thing about regrets, it's like shoulda, coulda, woulda, all that.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it now, so.
Yeah, I can't change the past. What I can do is be a better human being, a better wife, a better mom, a better grandma, a better friend, a better whatever today. And that's the other thing, today. I never thought about today. My calendar was filled the whole week and the weeks after, and I'm looking down and I know I'm going Christmas shopping. And it's June. No, I don't need to think about Christmas shopping right now.
No.
That's how I used to live. And everything was planned and organized, but then when everything was also chaotic on many levels. I can only hope that today is meaningful for at least part of the day, every day.
Yeah.
And if it is, and if I take stock of who I am and where I am, my legacy, I hope that, I've done good stuff. I hope that, my jobs made people's lives easier, better. That's all in the past. Today, what can I do, if it's just one thing today, to make one person, whether I know that person or not? Maybe there's somebody out there that's getting something positive from this. Wow, that's a huge contribution, because if you're getting something from this, you needed to hear it.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to live in the moment. It is so hard to tune out whatever. And you don't have to do it completely either. You can be thinking about 14 things at once. But if you're really honing in on how can I just be a better me, you can still have riffraff going on.
Well, right. We all have to. Yeah.
Yeah. But just give it some time and give it 30 seconds.
Yeah.
In the 30 seconds, if you do 30 seconds today or 10 seconds today, by the end of the week, and you do 10 seconds more every day, at some point, you're going to take a minute every day to stop and think, okay, if I drop dead right now, I don't have a chance to go back and fix things.
Yeah.
What do I want to leave that I don't have to fix?
What's not important anymore?
Everything's important. Everything's important. But in a funny way. What's not important is how I dress. I really don't care. I spent a lot of years caring.
Did you care?
Oh, did I ever?
Oh, that's so good, because I think so many people, we're in such an image conscious, heavy world, right?
Yes.
And people are very concerned about how they look and what they wear and what they weigh and, all of that.
Okay, sorry, Mom, but I was raised by a woman who told me my entire life I was fat.
Oh.
When I came home from college and had gained weight, I was taken from the airplane to the fat doctor, who put me on amphetamines.
Oh my God.
So that I would lose weight. I lost the weight. I should never slept.
I mean, amphetamines
I was
do the trick.
I was in bed at night with my eyes wide open, shaking, wondering what the hell's going on, because I didn't know what.
But I'm thin.
But I got thin. And I remember when my college roommate came for my wedding, and my mother, the first words out of her mouth was, "Look how good she looks. She lost weight." So, I mean, I had all kinds of issues. And I lived in Chicago. And I worked jobs that required that I dress. And I mean, I wore pantyhose and heels. I wore makeup, which I haven't had makeup on since I moved to Madison. When I first came, I still used makeup. And I still worried about my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly, I made fun of people who wore Birkenstocks.
Sure.
I now own like 6 pair of Birkenstocks. And my other shoes are healthy shoes. I mean,
yeah.
I don't care anymore about that stuff.
But the fascinating part to that for me is that you did, and you don't anymore. Because I think that it's easy to listen to this and say, well, she probably never cared.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
So I love that.
How I looked. If I had had a mastectomy 40 years ago, I would have had a nervous breakdown.
Oh, so interesting.
I would have had to have the padded bras because my mother had breast cancer. Okay. Now, my mother, to the day she died, reminded everybody she weighed 85 pounds. That was everybody's goal. Didn't matter how tall you were or anything. That was the goal. She was short, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
She was 81 when she died, and she still was worried about how she looked. She told the nurse that she was dying. My mother had these long red nails all the time. I'd never worn nail polish. That I never did. And she told the nurse you could take the nail polish off one finger to see if my nails are blue and if I'm dead, and then you put it right back on.
I mean, that sounds funny, but
she died with her nails done,
Uh-huh.
her hair done, and in some fancy ass nightgown that probably was a mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Because that was her.
Yeah. I mean, we are who we are too.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, she knew that I was going in a shroud. She's going nuts. Let me tell you. But no, I cared about all those things. I was raised to care about all those things. And image was extremely important in my family. Extremely important. Who you were, who you married, how many volunteer jobs you had, because women shouldn't work. It was, when I told my mother I was getting divorced, her response was, well, what will I tell my friends? And I said, frankly, I don't give a damn. I have 3 children under the age of 8. Image was very important. And when I first moved here, I was the best dressed social worker in Madison. Let me tell you. And that started to chip away. So I was in my 50s when I finally realized it doesn't matter if, my purse is fancy schmancy or I have a backpack.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So that wasn't so much a death thing as much as it was like a
change of environment and growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's important now, thinking about it's going to end, is that I don't waste time, that I face the things that need to be faced, that I say I'm sorry, I made mistakes to people. that I don't need to hold grudges.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you feel like there's something missing that you didn't do?
I still haven't finished apologizing.
Oh.
I was a mean girl. I was not a nice human being. And I was very selfish. And I probably hurt a lot of people's feelings and stepped on a lot of toes to get what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's changed. And I think there's so many gifts that come from having somebody say you have cancer.
Yeah.
In my group, I have made everybody face up and talk about the perks of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are perks.
And what a gift to talk about it. What a gift to talk about that it's a gift.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The experiences we have that normally we would say no thank you to are the ones that change our lives.
That's right.
Like, if you allow them to, they can be a diving board for a beautiful situation.
The hardest things, and you know this, the hardest things to do are to make serious changes by yourself.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and I think it's so good. It's peeling back those layers and realizing that I have one life and I'm done answering to anyone else about it. My husband, my kids, my staff. I'm not apologizing. I'm not doing anything to apologize for anymore. So that helps. When you stop actually digging the hole.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Stop digging the hole, and then that, But I also don't do anything in my life that I have to apologize for. I'm done apologizing also for just being me.
Yeah.
Right? I mostly do things in my life now that are aligned with my values. And if they're not, they feel icky physically. Physically, I feel bad. And so I can tell, and I've done a lot of work, but it is hard. It is hard when you make a change. But again, and my change started when something really shitty happened. But now I look back at it like such a gift.
And I think
a gift.
I mean, I think that's the thing. Something shitty happened to you. Something shitty happened to me that don't have cancer.
Yeah.
And hold on, what the hell are you talking about? And at first I thought you were reading the wrong stuff. It's somebody else. It's somebody in the next room. It's not me. Mm-hmm. And I think out of bad stuff. But why is it that we have to go down before we can go up? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They talk about hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
And rock bottom can be somebody saying, you have Alzheimer's. Whatever.
I always like to say I never hit rock bottom. I just skipped along the bottom for a while.
Okay.
I do think that there's something to be said about that. But, if it never rained, we'd never appreciate the sun.
Yes.
Right? We'd never get a rainbow. We'd never, right? Like if the sun didn't set every night, we'd never get a sunrise. There is something to be said about being able to compare and contrast. If you're comparing and contrasting to the right things, right? Comparing ourselves to other people just does not make sense. It just doesn't.
No.
Everybody's just like running their own show, man.
And it just hurts you in the end.
It really just doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. And so much of life for me was spent worrying about things that didn't matter. I'm just grateful that I finally got out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have a bucket list?
I really don't have a bucket list because I think Tom asked me recently if I wanted to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to take a trip. And my first snarky reaction was, "What's my dying trip?" No. And I said to him, we traveled a lot and we had some wonderful times and we went to some really interesting, I rode a camel in Egypt by the pyramids, but we've done some good stuff. I don't feel the urge or the need to do anything big. And I think about, when I'm dead, what am I going to miss?
Yeah.
I want to see my grandchildren as adults. I don't know that that's going to happen just by virtue of the fact that I'm 80.
Yeah.
And some of them are, younger. I'm not going to be around to see that. Just the numbers game. It has nothing to do with my health.
Yeah.
But I just want to keep watching them grow. I want to see my kids as they get older enjoy their lives, and they do. I think my kids are all in great places and they're fabulous parents. And I think things are going well, but I want that to continue. I just want to watch all of that good stuff happen. I don't feel a need to do much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I have these silly games I play, my push-up game.
Yes.
For my 80th birthday. I do them for my knees now, but I'm going to do 80 push-ups.
I will never forget speaking in a hot yoga class, and we had to do 75 push-ups for Lynn's 70, or was it your 70th?
70, I think.
It was 70th, yes.
For my 70th, I got a tattoo.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Good things come in small packages, so I got a small package.
Oh, I love it.
And I've been talking to the girls again, Lulu and Ruby, about, because they went with me to get this, getting an 80th tattoo. And we haven't figured out yet what it's going to be.
Oh, amazing.
He ain't going to be a coffin.
Just a D?
Just for the fun of it. Maybe it'll be some flowers sticking out of the ground. Because that's going to be me. But, we've talked about it because I'm not just going to get something. They hurt. Yeah. Right.
Like, let's be real.
Yeah. I mean, this is not fun.
Yeah.
This hurts. Yeah. And I chose this particular spot because it's on the same side as the mastectomy, so I was numb. Well, even numb, it hurts.
Yeah.
No. So, okay. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something.
That's amazing.
Yep.
We just touched on legacy. What would you love for in your death? What would you love people to do for you? Because there's always that question, like, what can I do for your daughter? Right? Like, what can I do for your granddaughter? What can I do for your kids? What can I do for Tom? What can I do? What could we do for you?
The first thing that comes to my mind is talk to your friends, family, the people around you about what you want when you're dead. Start the conversation. And you can frame it around, look, I just have a friend who just died. This was her wish. It makes it less threatening. Find a way that's less threatening. Start the conversation with your people. And I want people to think, she made me laugh. She made a difference. She made me think about being a better person. I mean, sure, I want everybody to recycle and I want everybody to save the earth. And I want all those things, and I want world peace. I can't control any of that. I can hope that the people that take notice of my death will take it into themselves that I need to live the best I can and be the best I can. And that's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Because everybody's best is different.
Right.
And I'm not going to be perfect every day of the week. There's no such thing. But I am going to make little niches of getting better and making it a little better place for people.
Yeah.
And sharing some love. That, to me, if that happened, and you laugh, you have to laugh. I mean, I really believe you have to laugh.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best emotions I've ever had is laughter through tears.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
And I will definitely be miserable when you go.
Well, I'm glad. Good. I had an impression. I made an impression on you then. I mean, if you just said,
Lynn.
Shit, somebody else just died. Now I got to send flowers. I mean, crap. No.
Are you having a funeral?
I don't know. I
Does
mean,
Tom want one?
I said to Tom, I said, you and the kids figure it out.
Yeah, whatever they want. Because it is really for them.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
No, I'm not going to know. So you do whatever you want to do. If you just want to have a big party, if you want to go bowling, God knows why. But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, let them do whatever they want to do.
That's totally up to them. I have, as much as I'd like to be in control, I have no control for what they do when I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
My reign of terror is over.
Well, hopefully it's not over for quite some time.
Well, yes, hopefully it's not. And I don't think it will be, but you never know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I did accuse my doctor. I said, you tried to kill me with the first round of chemo. And I said, you really tried to make yourself look better. Like, look, she doesn't have cancer anymore. Well, no, she doesn't. She's dead.
She's dead from the chemotherapy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and my doctor, of course, laughs at this because she's the best.
Yeah.
She's the best.
Yeah, I know some other people that are, oncology nurses or pediatric oncology nurses or, that kind of really heavy job. But I think humor is like the only way to survive some of this stuff.
And I do think attitude, and my doctors have repeatedly said to me that my attitude is part of my success with this. You gotta have a positive outlook, and you gotta make fun of yourself and make fun of a bad situation.
Yeah, right. We don't need to take ourselves so seriously.
No.
Now, that's real easy for me to say because I'm not actively dying, but we all kind of are actively dying.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. And, I don't want to make this sound all Pollyanna. When they first diagnosed me, there was about 2 weeks when I went down a dark black hole.
Okay.
And I really didn't want to get out of bed. And I was having a lot of pain then as well.
Yeah.
But I really was heading towards depression. And at one point, Tom said to me, get up. And he said, okay. And I got up and kind of threw cold water on my face and said, all right, you did it. That's fine. Now you know what being sad is all about. That's nice.
Yeah.
Now you have a choice. And I think everybody has the choice. You get told something you don't like. You can either bury yourself under it, or you can be sad for a few minutes or a few months or however long it takes you. And then you get up and lead the best life you can. Because you are still alive. And I want to live the best life until the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I'll give up.
Then we're going to take a nap.
Yeah, right. Then we're going to take. But I want ice cream.
Yeah.
That's my last meal. I want ice cream.
What's your favorite ice cream?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, well, we're going to get ice cream. We are going straight over there for ice cream for lunch.
But just appreciate the fact that you are alive and it is a good day. And I don't care if it's rainy and freezing and miserable outside. Your feet are on the ground.
Yeah.
Find something good.
You're not wrapped in a shroud in the back of a Prius.
Right. Yeah, I fit in the back seat just fine. Yeah.
The visual of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to see poor Tom. I'm going to see poor Tom that day. Be like, where is she? Is she in the car?
Right. Yeah. In the back seat, wrapped in the sheet. This is very formal. But it has to be so that it biodegrades.
Yeah, well, of course.
I can't go in a taffeted dress.
Can they plant anything on top of you?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Sure.
At your, you're going to be able to.
And I'm going to be right under this beautiful tree. I'm right by the tree. So.
How do they do that? Do they sell plots?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like a 6 foot.
I said to them,
do I get a discount?
Let me. No, standard size.
Okay.
They have to be. And they dig a certain depth so that certain creatures don't have a field day.
Yes.
I don't want my dog digging me up.
Yes. She would.
Pearl the other day was in the dog park, digging like crazy. And all you could see, Pearl's 85 pounds, and mostly 85 pounds of ass. She's got the biggest behind ever. So
she's a Bernie, right?
She's part Great Pyrenees.
Oh.
Part Golden. So you see this big blonde rear end. That's all you see. And Tom is saying to her, Pearl, no response, 3 times. And I said to him, she can hear you just fine.
You don't have to repeat it.
She knows you're calling. She's busy digging the hole.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
And
then she looks up like, huh? Somebody wanted me?
On my time.
Everything.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. We'll have you back.
I could talk
It's going
for
to be
hours
amazing.
about
We're going to do it again.
I would love to.
Yeah.
This was so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I hope somebody out there,
Well, it hit me. So
good. Okay.
Mission accomplished.
There you go.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of living authentically with me. Before you go, don't forget to connect with me on Instagram. Shoot me a message at Katie Rip. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode and connect with you further. And remember, if you want more details on today's episode or just want to explore more about designing your life unapologetically, head on over to my website at katierip.com. There, you'll find all the juicy details and resources you need to keep the inspiration flowing. Lastly, if you'd like to join me on the show, whether it's to tell about your experience of designing your own life, to share your expertise, or if you'd like to participate in lifestyle coaching live on air, don't hesitate to reach out. Your story could inspire countless others on their own path to living authentically. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep living boldly, designing your life, and remember, #ActuallyICan.